Epik Mellon podcast, conversations with the real humans behind broadband networks, cybersecurity, and the future of communications. Brought to you by QA Cafe. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Epik Mellon podcast. I am Jason Walls from QA Cafe, your host, and I have Cristina with me from HPE, Hewlett Packard, it's like I say that, but like, given the history, your history, and the history of like what has happened in networking and all that, it's like, if people are familiar with how our world works, it's like there's many acquisitions and it basically all like goes up the stack. So Christine's been doing this for a while and has worked for a couple different companies, but doing basically the same thing the whole time. Like me.
Not quite, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. As always, this podcast is brought to you by my employers at QA Cafe, and therefore the views expressed by Cristina or myself do not reflect those of QA Cafe or its ownership, and the same goes for HP. Definitely, we are not going to touch those lawyers. Don't you worry. And as always, it is brought to you by our three great products at QA Cafe, including CD Router, the industry standard test platform for broadband gateways, Wi-Fi devices, and other customer premises equipment with over 10,000 test cases that are fully automated and cover every aspect of your broadband CPE in a way that integrates with your CI/CD process and helps you build better products overall. Second being CloudShark Enterprise, which is the enterprise-grade way to deploy packet capture analysis across your entire organization. Lets teams work together, lets you work on very large capture files, keeps everything secure, and lets you deploy it anywhere at any time. And lastly, Packet Viewer, which is the power behind CloudShark, which allows you to embed Wireshark directly into your products with just a couple of lines of code. It's very cool, exposing all the over 3,000 protocols and whatever that Wireshark supports, and gives everybody the experience they need to provide the evidence they need when something goes wrong. You can find out more about CD Router, CloudShark Enterprise, and Packet Viewer at www.qacafe.com. Yeah. So, how are you?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to get you on because, like, obviously, Cristina works with me very often at Broadband Forum. We've been trying to do a lot more awareness of standards and how things are produced over there. But she's been doing this probably about as long as I have. So she's been in it for a while. So I do want to hear that side of your story. Because one of the things that I always talk about on this show is that even if you do have a technical background, getting into networking and especially broadband networking is usually an accident. So how did that happen for you?
So I started out of school. I actually joined a startup that did Q&A. There you go. Test suites for routing. So BGP4 was the newest protocol back then. So I had to go into standards, ITF, and read the spec and write BGP4 test suites back then. And this is how I was testing in around like long ago. Juniper's product on the other side on QA on the QA side. I was actually a developer writing test suites, but we were like testing all the new stuff that everybody who had the routers that were doing BGP4 back then. Yeah.
You hear that, all you BGP people out there?
Yes. Yeah. So back then I was involved with the standards and all that. So I got from that company, I went to another startup that did develop broadband edge router, the Redstone with the ERX. That was the first really edge router, broadband edge router out there. And it had all the routing protocols, but it also had subscriber management. So I worked in routing for a while. I implemented design BGP4 or SPF. And when I done, there was no more like novelties. I liked looking at problems and solving problems and finding. Back then the BGP4 area was like novelty. MPLS, like L3 VPNs were new, so it had a lot of like things to solve, problems to look at, and a lot of creativity involved back then. So when that sort of like I don't know, ran its course in a way in the industry as well. It matured and all that. I got into subscriber management, which was an area for me that it didn't have the specificity or like the exact area of expertise like GB4 or SPF had. It sort of broadened my perspective. I really wanted
Right.
to sort of look at a higher level architecture. I started to do like system level architecture, looked like sort of like the forest and how you like no longer like 3x 3y kind of thing, protocol
Yeah.
x protocol y. So in that area, that's how I got into the broadband networks story and doing BNGs for a while, obviously with Redstone
Hmm.
and then Juniper acquisition. Um, well, it was Redstone and a few other companies bought by Siemens, bought by Unisys, bought by Juniper. Anyway, many years later, right? So
Right.
we're doing the BNG here, with that, right, there's become the new world of, all right, we need new architecture, we need to scale in and out, we need sort of distributed system, disaggregated infrastructures to solve sort of the world problems like energy saving, power savings, be able
Oh,
to,
definitely energy savings. I
yes,
remember, so
exactly,
when I
yes,
at the when I worked with Lincoln at the interoperability lab, I remember we had this Juniper router that was like sounded
wow,
like a jet engine when you turned it on.
yep, that was a while back,
It was
yes. I don't know
so
what
loud.
BMX, yeah. Yeah. So that used to be like many years back, but since then we actually have like a very thin, very
Right.
smooth, very new. We did have actually, I worked with Lincoln closely a few years back for the BBF demo, for the innovation demo,
Hmm. Hmm.
when we did subscriber steering, and we had MXs in the Juniper lab. Actually, this was 2 years ago, maybe no, 2022, I think it was, for CAPS for disaggregated BNG and with session steering, which is sort of like the area that I right now working and it's dear to my heart. So in network architecture, right, for broadband forum, where there is a lot of creativity and innovation, and again, back to solving like work problems in like in this parsing is like um, subscriber session steering. What we do, right? It's sort of like the mechanism of solving multiple issues, right? Out there
Right.
is like as you know all this, Jason, but for our listeners, right? So you can is basically you can custom to every service, steer based on service, based on
Right.
latency, gaming,
Right.
whatever you need to do based on power steering, right? Whatever you want to save energy, right? And if you want to sort of
Mhm.
put things dormant or just have less power consumption and just sort of steer to different user planes, different royalties, like it's across the whole system, right? It's not
Yeah.
just BNG, it's end to end.
Right. And that's
So,
kind of new for a lot of us, right? It's like trying
yes.
to think of that holistically is not something that everybody has been doing for a while, right? The segments of the network, and I always talk about how like the culture of people goes along with what the technology is, and you can't separate the two, right? And so in the same way that those technologies were very siloed, like we were all very siloed, right? And like well, you would never ever actually interact necessarily professionally with somebody who was in the core network versus somebody on the edge. But now it all matters.
Yeah, exactly. You have like it's almost like it's not that you're forced because you really like to work together, but you're forced to work together because they're put together and to actually like really deliver that end to end, whatever service that is, right?
Right, right,
So
right,
AI as a service and all those like the new world, right? That is AI for networks and networks for AI, all of those, right? So
right,
all these technologies to like you need so the building blocks that we're creating. So in network architecture specifically, we have parts of the building block to actually allow that for that kind of service.
right, right,
Um,
right, right. And not a lot of
that,
people know, but like it's interesting. It's always interesting to me how this stuff unfolds because um like IP networking itself, we'll say, right? In as people experience it and understand it over the last 30 years or whatever. It was it it works so well. And just like
yes,
Wi-Fi, is a victim of its own success, right? And so because it works so well, and because things get entrenched, and because people get used to doing things a certain way, and certain things are expensive to change, and some things are not so expensive to change, and there's all these factors that end up going down this entire road. What happens is that we end up having to use a technology that was not necessarily designed to do the things we are trying to do with it.
Exactly. Yes. Right.
Right?
Yeah. So for the change, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to sort of develop, like, go higher, like go up one level and see, okay, how can we re-architect the level below and the level below that to actually ensure sort of,
Right.
uh,
Without having to rip everything out.
exactly. Yes, that's actually one of the major challenges, right? How do you migrate from a system that, even before the pandemic or during the pandemic, right? Remember the initial pains with the pandemic, with everybody working from home. Sometimes certain things were actually crashing when you did
Yeah.
home,
Well, think
like when
about
you
how
did
that
school.
wild that was, because for years, for what? For about 30 years, we were like, oh, it's totally fine if your upstream
Yes,
is like
exactly.
a
Yeah,
fraction of your download speed. It's fine. Nobody's uploading anything.
right. Yep. And there you go. Like
And then
once, like in
suddenly,
just a few weeks, exactly. It just went
mhm,
to, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So you like, so pretty much a new world. So a new world, I think, comes up to me like, looking back, it's like in cycles. I don't know if it's every 10 years, might be too much, maybe. Like there is a cycle, I think, after, of changes that need to be sort of like ripped apart, and something has to come out new, but the ripping apart needs to be gradually, incrementally. um
hmm.
like right now, like, right, so I don't know if in 2019 you could do like gaming in the same house, the streaming, working, home, like school, all at the same time, right? You had to, like,
Right,
oh, my video doesn't work yet,
right, right,
that's
right, right, right.
stop
And people
this.
only experience that one way, and they only blame one person when that happens.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
right, so this new world, I think it's like, towards where we're going, right? So in terms of like the standards we're looking at, this, right? So we're the network architecture, where the main area that I'm sort of like, going for, or being have my expertise is in, it sort of cross connects with the provider cloud, like like all the other areas, like the service requirements, like we work together, right? As you see us, right? We're on the hallways talking about, okay, what can we provide from our infrastructure, and what are the specifications we can make to help, like, with the provider cloud, like the cloud CO, and like what are the, even the interfaces, right? This is like a small thing. You could think as of a small thing, right? That's being the, like, standardizing an interface between, I don't know, the management and control world of the SDN towards whatever the control plane of the edge or the access model is. But it's like, actually, you have to put a lot of thought in it, because it's that interface might have to scale, have to move, or it has to cross domains. It's not just, yeah, it's just let's develop a protocol for an interface, or just
Right,
think of
right.
like how is that going to work.
Right,
It
right,
has
right,
this, you have to put all the parameters of a new world in it, that it has to be flexible enough to work in a lot of conditions.
right.
Um,
And those lots of conditions, it's like we were saying, were not necessarily things that people worried about before. It was
yes,
like the 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 world of politics and network neutrality and the way that the internet worked was always best effort, because nobody thought that we would ever need to differentiate in the way that we do,
right, yeah.
but we really do.
Even now, this whole world of security, right?
Yeah.
That back, like, I don't know, 20 years back, 25 years back, right? You didn't need privacy on the internet. Everything was out there, right? Or there was very little, like, MD5 and encryption and stuff like that. Right
Yeah.
now, right? Everything, like, there's no project, or like security, you have to build, like, securities as design, right? And that's another area where, like, we're working in, like, in broadband forum, in each group and across groups,
Mhm.
that you need to, so it needs to be secure, it needs to be uh, resilient, That's another. So that's the one big thing that is like dear to my heart that like I worked in for the network architect for actually about maybe 2.5 years, like
Mhm.
providing this whole resiliency in case like something happens. I don't know, like a whole area gets powered off. You don't know, like you
Right,
don't know what,
right.
like what disaster, calamities, war, right? You need to be
Oh,
able
yeah,
to.
right. And because everything is so much more mission critical, because we're trying to do everything over the internet, like
Yes, yes,
it has to be.
right. That's
You
right.
know, people don't know this, but it's just a little factoid for the people who might not know this, right? So there was this the whole idea of communication as critical infrastructure goes back to the telephone, right? And so the phone companies in the US have been required for more than 100 years now to have their lines be active 99.999% of the time, which is a
There you
lot.
go.
Having that level of failure tolerance is very hard, right? And so when the internet came along, they were like, "Oh, should we require this for the internet too?" And we're like, "Hold up,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
not as possible as you think it is."
Right. So yeah, again, new world requirements change dramatically, right? Now, like in a world with no resilience, it's like a no-go
Yeah,
almost. So it's just it's the requirements change and needs like the needs of the of like growth really changed.
right,
So
right,
um so you have to basically have resiliency, security, like providing this the level of service that's required end to end, be able to like again by providing that end to end service, right? A lot of moving parts need to be able to move seamlessly, keep up
right.
subscribers, keep up services, right? While like whole areas of maybe user planes, disaggregated OLTs, whatever, can be shut off and move like to another geographical area. Like multi geo, right? It's a real thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, right.
um,
And it's
so
like it now involves organizations who again like would never have had to talk to each other before because everybody just assumed that the next person was doing whatever they needed to do to make it go. But now it's like, no, like you need to, so like if you have an application or a service that you wanted to deliver to a human being, like you now have to at least communicate your needs, if not fully understand what everything has to be done to get from A to B. And that's what end to end means for the people who don't understand what
exactly,
that means.
that's right.
It
Yeah.
means it means from Netflix to you is end to end.
Yep, that's right. And again, it might be like a it might not just be my regular Netflix streaming. Maybe I just paid a little more for different kind of streaming. So you better
Hmm,
provide that
hmm.
service. Like guarantee me the type of bandwidth or
Oh yeah.
whatever.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. And again, like the whole neutrality thing, it's like the network needs to know that, right?
yeah, yeah.
It needs to know what it is that you agreed to get delivered so that it knows to deliver it in the best way possible with regards to everything else that's going on.
Yeah, whatever many layers underneath need to change at a given time of the day or whatever to provide that service, that's sort
Hmm.
of like seamless. It has to be like it's transparent to the higher levels, like
Yeah.
like in the like we're talking about in the service requirement and provider cloud. Like we want to do to just give an instruction, hey, deliver me this gaming service with such and such in AI. This is your AI prompt, and boom, from there underneath the cover all layers go. Yeah, so
That's that, that's the
that's pretty
dream.
cool. Yeah. Well, it's very close to being.
It is.
I mean,
It is very
it's
close.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, it is. It is. And it's like the stuff that we work on ends up making that possible because what those systems need is valid information. They need valid information and then they need to know the right, basically for the people who don't know what agentic AI is AI that makes in programmer talk, it's AI that makes API calls. In
okay,
non-programmer talk, it's AI that is able to do something to something else other than itself, right? As
yeah,
part of a decision-making process.
that's
And
right.
that's basically what is going on now, right? Is because we have all these different groups making different interfaces, making APIs into different parts of the network so that things can be changed from way up here to be like, boop, 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 and then it all goes
Right. You still get to your bits
bang, bang.
zero and ones, yes, or the
Yes.
quantum in the future, but whatever. Yes,
Yeah,
underneath the
yeah. I was
cover,
gonna say, right.
yes,
In the future, we
yeah,
won't have to do it because quantum entanglement will instantly deliver. Yeah, we know.
yeah, you're right. Um, so yeah, so I think we're like the dream. It depends. So you always have a next dream and a next dream and a next dream afterwards, right? What we're looking at currently, I think it's going to be tangible in the next few years. Like
Oh yeah,
really, like using it just like instruction with AI, and again doing our like intent based interfaces underneath the cover to just sort of just just make it so kind of thing, right?
right, right.
It's not that far. It's
No,
yeah.
it's
I
it's
mean,
it's it's very cool. It's very cool, and it's tough because it's one of those things that the average person will not necessarily see. It's like you don't see what you don't see, right? And
yeah,
so
you don't see the work that's went underneath, right? Exactly. You
you
see
know,
beauty, the beautiful whatever, I don't know, flower or like palace or whatever, but or to the pyramid. How about that?
right,
Yes, the
right,
work that
right.
went into that. I
And
know
one of
it's
the
like
things that's so fascinating to me about this is that like it's like it really, really is end to end, like to the point where like, okay, your Wi-Fi network in your house is good here and bad here for different use cases, right?
yes, yeah,
So you're not just going to have somebody steering your Wi-Fi around to make sure that it's working in your house to do the things that you're kind of doing locally that it can maybe figure out. It's going to be steering it in the context of everything else, right?
right.
Because it's going to use that information and put it in the same system that is doing everything on the other side and coordinate the whole thing. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's steering based on whatever exactly whatever the needs of that network are. To your point, right? So my washing machine might not have the same needs that my gaming uh, that my gaming partner might have and stuff like that. So hey,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
It definitely doesn't for now anyway.
yeah. um, but yes, like with subscriber session steering, like I think we're probably gonna have sort of like the first issue where we defined like all the sort of all the building blocks and all the so the models, the information model, and everything that we can actually go sort of in the future to build the next thing. um, so I know repeating myself, but all those use cases like agentic AI as a service, power saving, all of those, they're possible with this with the service steering building blocks that sort of we constructed, and this will be um, um, the issue one, which and using those building blocks we will sort of develop further. But this is sort of like going in and it was it's sort of aligned with like where we want to be in the other or where are the other groups like the service provider, the provider cloud, the service requirements group, where everybody else is going, sort of like
Right.
we're step in step, more or less.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And we're all going to have to come out of our shells and take off our
Yes,
blinders
and
and
then yeah, you
actually
will have
talk to.
to socialize. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and just yeah, I think
Mhm.
what we're working on is really cool. And and again, in the next new world where we use like the whole quantum computing and the different like qubits and all that for quantum, like
Yeah.
underneath the cover, we will have different use cases. That's sort of like the next phase might be for all of us, and to make
Right.
sure that that
Right.
whole thing is gonna fly really. But
Yeah. I hate it because I always put my I put ironically, as somebody who lives on the bleeding edge of a lot of technology, I put my skeptic hat on a lot.
yes, you have to.
You know, and it's not that I'm skeptical of those things. It's just I find that, and it's funny. I was talking with uh, Gunther from Axios about this because he has a physics PhD, right? And so we were
Yeah.
talking about this about how like what people say quantum computing is and like the very versus what the very basic concepts mean to reality are like two different
Very
things.
different. Yes,
You know?
it's it is true. Yes. So if
Yeah.
you listen to like quantum computing, like I like to listen to quantum computing podcasts, for example. And yes,
Hmm.
there are a lot of problems that like there's a lot of things that need to be solved or even understood, right? And before you're right, it's still the future. It's
Right. Well,
maybe
and I don't say that to make it sound like it's not going to be a reality, but like it's more like uh
it's a realistic point of view. How about that?
it's more like there that when we achieve those things, it will mean things that are different from the way we even think about use cases nowadays,
Now,
right?
exactly.
It's like
Yes.
it's like it's like the concepts of the stuff that we do itself will change. So it's hard to talk about it that way. You know, it's like I always talk about like what is it? When people talk about faster than light travel, right? Or warp drive or whatever, right? It's like
Yeah.
okay, just so you know, if that's possible, then words like time and information and all that stuff don't mean anything anymore.
Yes. Wait, you mean warp drives are not real?
It's like, no, I'm not saying they're not real, but if we're going to start talking about
I'm
that, then
kidding.
the
I'm
words
kidding.
that are
I
coming out
just
of our
think it's
mouths.
suspicious. So hey, yeah, yeah.
No, that's
No.
cool though. So I appreciate like all of us who are in the standards world are a little crazy in the sense that like you have to have that bug, right? You have to have that passion for no reason ahead of time if you really, really want to stay in this, right? And so it's like obviously you have that, but I'm curious about when you knew, like
Yes, you
at
knew
what
when
point in
I
your
knew
life
that
where
I
you're like,
wanted to
oh,
do this. Yes. So I think I was probably a nerd all my life. I mean, the definition of nerd is different, maybe. I mean, forget about how a nerd looks, but what a nerd does. I was doing physics when I was young. Like was in physics Olympics back in when I grew up. I grew up in communist Romania, right? So, and when the dictator Ceausescu fell, I was in my senior year in high school. So it was everybody was waiting for the Americans for the longest time. So then
yeah,
we came here, like I came here to the U.S. after my master in Romania, and so I went to college there. I did my master, and I came here to do a PhD in computer science. And then I said, wait a minute. I mean, I got a scholarship, and all, but I dropped off. I really wanted to do tangible things. I didn't want
yeah,
to, like, I just wanted to do things that I can see working.
hmm,
And I like that part. But it's also, I think, back to your words, a little crazy kind of thing, with the future in mind. So believe it or not, my master's thesis, I don't know, very long ago, was about AI.
no
Okay.
way.
The AI of back time. Yes. It's like as funny as like as full circle as it can be.
No, but
But
that's so cool because the way they talked about it then, like, because
it's,
I was when I was in school, like, as part of the part of like the computer science program, because I actually have a philosophy degree, but I was in the computer science program basically the whole time. And but as a result, like we had to take philosophy courses, right, about
nice.
AI, right, and some of
Oh
it was
wow.
moral, and some of it was the right, and but
Cool.
the way that we thought about it back then is very different from what it has become right now.
I think we will need those philosophy courses right now about AI,
Yeah.
about teaching like sort of like
Oh,
seriously
that's what it
teaching
feels like to be a philosopher, though. It's like every now and then society is like, but we need help with this. Like, well, look who comes crawling back. You didn't
yeah, so
think you needed us, but now the
yeah,
robots are taking over.
yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's actually, I think it's probably it will be entangled with AI, the whole
Yeah,
philosophy back to like, yeah, yeah.
no, no. But when
Back to
you
the
were doing it, what was
yes,
like?
so bottom line is like I was always like from AI from like I think I was like having courses in neural networks, but I came like when I came to the US, so instead of doing the PhD, I got a lot of job offers, and I went to this startup that did the routing because it was sort of new. This whole BGP4 when we were talking about it, I said, oh, this is cool. Let's get into this. So I always had this like, okay, I want to look at like something that's sort of an area that's new, and it has some once I understand it, it has some problems that need solving. And then you get so focused on that that for a while you're in that, you won't really like maybe function normally, eat, sleep, whatever, and then you're out of that, and then yes, so this is solved, and then you do the next thing, and then you find the next thing. So I think I always perhaps function like this, on the craziness border, like, okay, being focused on that new thing that
Right,
I
right.
like to do.
Yeah,
And
when you get to the point where you see that it's pretty solid, you're like, okay, what's next?
yes, yeah, no, it was next. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
um, that's why I got the bug, more or less, about sort of like broadband networks as well, and this whole network architecture, um, and what we're gonna do for this new sort of stage, whether it's AI or the next. I think it's gonna be AI and philosophy. So if you want to actually do philosophy with AI and
Yeah.
just
I
really
mean,
like,
well, it's okay.
yeah, I know that would be a cool intersection of disciplines, you know?
Yeah. Well, it like it it I don't know. It's I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
read a lot of science fiction, and I mean, I through my whole like life, and I like that. And is anyway,
what was your favorite stuff? Sci-fi stuff.
I read Foundation by Asimov before it became like
Before it was cool.
the
Yeah.
show. Yes, yeah. But I mean, I like Orson Scott Tom, like Orson Scott. I forgot his full name. I mean, I just still like to read science fiction, and a lot of it, guess what, became true.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
If you
for
look
sure.
into it,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I
you
was
might.
because I always think about the Ender's Game thing too, because it's like,
Oh, in this game, yes, exactly,
yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah,
And if nobody's ever read the other books, right? It's like Ender's Game was not like the other books. The whole point of Ender's Game was to sort of set the stage for all these other things that take place 3,000 years in the future on another planet,
yes, yep, yep,
right? But they introduced this very cool concept, or Orson Scott Card introduced this very cool concept
yes,
that I definitely think ends up applying to AI, where it's like you judge if you can do you judge any form of intelligence in terms of how it is that you could possibly understand it and communicate with it and share its values. And he has this whole like categorization system of things are like, okay, things that share your language and share your values, things that
yeah,
don't share a language but do share your values, things that don't do share a language but don't share your values, and then neither, right? And and then neither, and then there's like a fifth category, right? And the fifth category is basically totally alien in such a way that you could never possibly understand like this other intelligence, right? And so in Ender's Game, that's the bugs, right? But it comes down to AI, right? It's like if we have something that's intelligent, but it isn't human and it has no idea about like what
it is,
human is, right? It doesn't have an endocrine system and it doesn't eat, it doesn't
yes,
sleep, it's like our ability to relate to that thing will probably be pretty hard.
yep, yeah. I remember the last show that I really really liked about this. It was, I don't know if you probably saw it, but I haven't. Growing up in Romania, I didn't see this, and I watched it over and over. Stargate. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Yep.
So
The show, that
the
was
the
such a great
show,
show.
like as it evolves through the ages, is like, whoa, this
Yeah.
whole like reverse engineering the alien technology and all that, and then
Hmm.
all the documents that were sort of like disclosed.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
right. You're like,
yeah,
oops.
yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just I do think, like, I like to think sort of the future and then see, okay, how can we even like implement or architect something like that. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So when you did do your master's stuff and
yeah.
it was on AI, like what were the sorts of things that you were addressing at the time?
That, so it was, I think, very like, it's almost like ice age comparing to how it's here, how it's right now. Like I think I did, so my thesis was about a program to learn, we're learning different, so let me remind myself so I can actually explain it better. It was about teaching various stations, the most popular um, sort of programs, like radio programs, and it was like it was giving like a probability of what the highest ranking was. and it was trying to do something like this in the learning was really through like
Right.
programming, like doing some like I had to, like I was writing in C back then, and but and it I think we demonstrated the program. I mean, I demonstrated the program. It went well, and that's it. But again, this is so archaic comparing to
Yeah.
what you can do today, right?
No.
It's
Right.
just,
Right. Right.
and,
Yeah.
initially, I think I had some neural network sort of like aspect to it. I don't remember what it was, but it's been long ago. Again, the neural networks of like long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Right. Right.
principles I think stay. So it's like it's almost like um, I think even the principles of AI, of some principles of, I don't even know if there's like some, like the rules of like robots or whatever, if there's some principles of AIs that are like hard, like set in stone from which you cannot deviate. I'm not sure if there's
Right.
such a thing
I
yet,
don't think
but
there is, but on the other hand, it's like, we don't have to dive down far down this rabbit hole unless you absolutely want to.
sorry.
But like again, when I put my skeptic hat on, like learning language models, right? Generative AI, as we call it
Yeah,
today, isn't
yeah,
really AI, right? It's kind of just really, 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 really good at making stuff up. And so
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
making stuff up. That's what it's
yeah,
making stuff up, right? So very a good percentage of the time, the stuff it made up happens to be correlate with reality, but it's just making stuff up. And so all of these times where people have sort of, I talked about this with Jeebeth on a couple episodes back. It was like all these times when people are like, "Oh, AI said it wanted to kill all humans," and it's like, ugh,
oh
that's
god.
because that is because it is such a good chatbot. It is such a good pattern recognizing engine
It's
that it
very
saw that you were trying to get it to be evil, and so it was like, "Yeah, I'm totally evil now." It doesn't
yeah,
know anything. It just made it. It was like making artwork for you. It'd be like, "Oh
exactly.
yes, I'm evil. This is what it would look like."
Yeah, so it means it's like, yeah, I mean like it is like on a daily job, right? It's useful. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
we all use it, like to do things, and in some aspects is better and faster. In some aspects it isn't. Like it can actually rewrite a lot of the code, production code, the wrong way.
Well, the reason why it's so good at code is because code is language, right? And so it's
Exactly.
very good at
Yeah,
language because,
yeah.
spoiler alert, it's a learning language model.
In the model, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So, of course, it's good at computer code because computer code's just a language. That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just figuring out the pattern recognition, right? But the thing that I've noticed is that the people worried about it taking jobs and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it might make some entry level stuff harder, but it actually forces you to be a better coder because you have to
Yes.
look at it and you have
Yes.
to know.
That's true.
It's like
Yeah.
reviewing somebody else's code is way harder than writing your own,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You have to know enough about programming to be able to look at that and know if it sucks and what to change to make it not suck, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you need to remove the stuffy part and just the suggestion and whatever, and just continuously be able to feed it so that it gets right to the sort of like going from like this to this, sort
Right,
of like in a logical sense, because it could, yeah, right.
right. And the same thing will happen with agentic stuff. It's just a little slightly more terrifying because when it's wrong, it's doing stuff,
Yes, exactly. Yes, it has to be more like
you know.
this. Exactly.
Right,
Um,
right. But the kind of wrong we're talking about is never going to be evil wrong. It's just like oops wrong.
yes, exactly. Yes, yeah. Well, this needs to be corrected. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
yeah. I'm just, yeah. I think it's unavoidable to actually like this is going to be a world we will live in. So like with its pros and cons and the things that we might need to fix, and
Hmm.
this, yeah, and we'll learn how to navigate the good part on the evil part and just strip off whatever.
Right, right, right,
I think
right, right.
learn. Yeah.
And we'll actually have to talk to each other, and you know,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it won't replace that.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
In fact, the AI might give you the suggestion, go talk to a human. You might need this.
Right.
Yeah, once in a while. That's right.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you doing this, even though you're technically on vacation right now, right?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
am. But I
Yeah.
like talking to you. So hey,
I appreciate
it's
that.
and yes,
Yeah, and then so I mean, I'll see you in what, like 6 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. You're
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
in Australia. Yeah. Our
I
our
will.
next Broadband Forum meeting. This will air before then, but our next Broadband Forum meeting is in Australia, which is very cool because I always feel bad because there's a lot of people down there that are smart and want to participate in standards, but they are in the worst time zone when it comes to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's
They have to
yeah.
be up at like 2 in the morning to participate in something that we do during our normal day, you know?
It's true.
Yeah. So that'll be good. It'll be exciting to go down there and kind of see that perspective,
I,
I think.
I think so. Yeah. So I've never been, so I'm
Either
curious
way.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
keep everybody here. It's like we have all this mythology about Australia, like
yes, exactly.
it's
We
gonna
want
be
few things, but I think
spiders the size of dinner plates and
yes. Yeah.
kangaroos just
This is
rampant in
all
the
over.
city.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Once we adjust to the time zone, that is.
Oh
I
yeah.
think this time
Yeah.
zone is the
But you know
exact.
how that is. You just kind of like shut off your brain once you go through airport security and then turn it back on when you get to wherever you are.
And keep it
And
like
that's
that
just what
for
time it is.
week and a half. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Until you get accustomed to this. Yeah, to that time.
Cool.
Yeah, the time zone. Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you
Well,
for doing this and do enjoy the
thank
rest
you.
of your vacation.
Thank you.
And I will see you in a few weeks. And even, for those of you who are crazy enough to still want to jump on a technology podcast when you're on vacation, I say to you this, as I always do, own the nerdy things that you love and have fun doing them. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.